Hi everybody, I'm Dean Wolfe, and this is What Makes This Song Progressive. And of course it's inspired by Rick Beato's series, What Makes This Song Great. Basically, What Makes This Song Progressive is my own version of that, and it's based around progressive music. And we're starting with, actually this is the fourth in the series, Close to the Edge by Yes. Pretty much universally considered a masterpiece. And we're talking about the entire album, not just the song Close to the Edge, which is what we're going to focus on right now. I need a pick. Okay, so let's just begin. What's making this song tick? What are some of the main elements to it? Stick around with me, you'll learn some things. I sure learned a few things as I have looked at this song. So the song starts where it's going to finish, next to a babbling brook, and there's some nature sounds. But there's also now introduced a kind of a little bit of a drone, a keyboard drone. These are some of the notes that I've picked out in it. And as well, there's this tingling. It sort of sounds like, you know, when your arm falls asleep or something, and it's all tingling. To me, that's an audio version of that. As you can hear, there's a build-up, and there's going to be a wah kind of sound. So you heard it there. I just had to point that out. It's kind of a sweeping, probably just sweeping an EQ. Okay, so what we got here, we got Bill Bruford on drums, and Chris Squire on bass, and Steve Howe on guitar. That's it. There's no vocals yet. You'll notice there's a very long intro, of course. Typical of a lot of prog rock. They don't get to the singing right away. Chris Squire playing his bass. And then begins again. And at the same time, Steve Howe is playing. Now, basically, that's an E and an F over and over again. This is a theme in this song. I've been looking at and discovering that there's a lot of octaving going on. I call it octaving. And it could be kind of, you could even say it's symbolic of a step or a progression or an ascension. Sort of what Chris Squire is playing there. Just incredible tone. I love the tone of his bass. It's just so great. And also I love the toms sounds on Bill Bruford's drums. It sounds great. So he's got a kind of a if it was just a normal scale, we'd go there. But instead, I guess it's a Middle Eastern thing. Also, Steve Howe is multi-tracking. He tracked himself playing some kind of a harmony. The interesting thing is here is Rick Wakeman comes in. Listen to what he's playing, okay? I want you to notice what he's playing. See, it's going diddle 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 diddle. It's 16th notes, I guess, and it's this pattern. Except very quick. And where was that coming from? Actually, Chris Squire plays this in the song. At this point, he's not playing that yet, though. You're going to hear Chris Squire play that same pattern in a slower fashion. Oh, yes, he is. He is already playing it. Sorry. So, on the bass, and at the same time, Steve Howe is just flailing around. It's really exciting. It sounds chaotic, but it's actually it is very symmetrical. Chris Squire and Rick Wakeman are both playing the same thing, but at totally different speeds. And I love the sounds of the drums. He always sounds so restrained. He doesn't sound like he's smashing his drums, but at the same time, very powerful. So Steve Howe is just turning rubber there. And he's just freaking out all over the place in general. Also very interesting is the drumming. Like I said, I'll probably say it too many times, but now this is interesting. What chord is that? Well, let's look at the chord we're on. The dominant chord right now, anyway, I think is a D minor. What do you think? I mean, there's no chords being played. There's just... sounds like a D minor would fit there. And at the very beginning, an F. So F and a D minor seem to be the chords we're working with here. Then all of a sudden these vocals come in, and they are an A minor. But there's two more other times the vocals come forward like that, and we're going to notice how they change. Okay, the first one is this. Let's see how the next one will happen. There we have Chris Squire and Steve Howe both locking in. At the same time, Rick Wakeman is playing that same figure, except in 16th notes really quickly. Notice Bill Bruford, he's really working on the hi-hats now. Now here's that other, it's not this one, we just did this. How does it change? Those notes change. I think it's just a three-part harmony. So first we had, now it's this. They even added a little fluctuation. So really, Steve Howe just has the floor. I mean, he's got a wide open canvas. There's some really jazzy kind of chords there. I know he was a bit influenced by, there's this famous jazz guitarist. I'm forgetting his name. I'll put it on the screen if I remember him. And here we go, Steve Howe. He's just riff. What do you call that again? And then Chris Squire is still doing. He's just going up and up and up. And there we have that octave again. It's reminiscent of that. Listen how high Chris Squire can go. So they come to that peak, and everyone kind of comes to a halt. Now that part there, I'm trying to remember, does that happen again somewhere in the song? Probably does. Anyways, take note of that. That's a neat little part there. Yeah, the vocals are a B. So we went from this to this to this. I just think that's really cool how it progressed from an A minor to a B flat major there. Very, very, I don't know, you can call it a famous riff, I guess. The keyboards are kind of going back and forth between, this is a D and then a C. And it's kind of going back and forth between the C and the D, but the bass line is moving, for example, like this. And then it goes. Notice too, the tempo has changed. It went from being kind of a frenetic fast to a, yeah, we're in a groove now. Now that's a neat phrase. Let's see. It's sort of, it reminds me of three blind mice, for some reason. I don't know why, but it has that kind of a little bit of a jazziness to it, I guess. See that? Beautiful conclusion to the phrase. Hear the back and forth nature of it. Again, lots of octaving. completely brilliant transition between sections. Really thought out well, really balanced. Now we're going into a new section with A minor. With the sitar. And again, octaving. And it's just a bit of a slightly inverted form of the chord there. But basically 3 chords, so that's A minor, G, and then G again, I guess. Yeah, it's just A minor and G. Now, a quick word about John Anderson. I love his singing. He's super unique. And his lyrics, too, I love. I just think they're fantastic because he uses words the same way a bass player or like Chris Squire will use tone on an amplifier. I just believe that he's picking some words just for the sound of the words. It's not even about what they mean. And I think that's very forward thinking, too, because in the future there would be some bands like that band out of Iceland who the singer is just making up a language. Solid metal place. Rearrange your liver to a solid metal place. I think that's the words there. It's just the sound of it. I love the sound of it. We notice too the bass doing a lot of octaving there. Again, that theme of octaves. Now that's a neat little part. Oh, I see. That section is actually a G minor 7th because Steve Howe is playing. So that turns. I was thinking it was a G minor. Amazing tone on the bass. I don't know. It's just incredible, incredible tone. Now here we're going into sort of new territories again. Close to the edge, down the corner. Oh, no, I'm wrong. Down at the edge, down at the... It's a B minor 7th, but is that a minor 7th? I'll put the name of the chord on the screen. So it sounds like a key change going on again. He starts a little higher. In the beginning of the song, he starts here. But here he goes. Let's see, what does he play there? Okay, so he's going. Note that bass line. That is so classic. Great stuff. Oh, and that's great. Something like that. I learned a lot of chops from just picking out Steve Howe licks when I was took the guitar. That's how I learned my groundwork of guitar, Steve Howe. See here now, it's back to the F, except it's going from major to minor, and that's a C. I mean, there's repetition in the song as far as the sections, but everyone's always trying something different. I mean, Steve Howe is going, I don't know, he's just noodling all over the place. That's one of my favorite licks, and again, that's something that I learned from Steve Howe, picking out what he was playing when I was a kid. He does that a lot. He uses the, throughout the album even, on Siberian Khatru, he does a lot of that. Now here. Now suddenly, the first time we went down at the edge, down by the corner, and now we're in a different key, and it starts in a D minor. So the last chord is an E minor, whereas first it was the E minor.
Close to the edge, just by the river. Season.
I love that little dee-doo. Yeah, little harmonics he did there.
Pass you by. I get up, I get down. Now that
So that's a C and then an A minor. Then we go to that F.
it's done, now that you're fine, now that you're home.
Notice the bass line. The bass line, I mean, the rhythm section is so tight there. And then John starts singing. Whereas you would think this is the beginning of the phrase here. You'd think that John Anderson and Chris would be like da 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 da, but no, it starts up here. Da 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 da. It's kind of reversing. It's really cool.
My eyes convince eclipse with the younger moon and tangled love.
And frankly, those kinds of moments are what immortalize this music. In my mind, it's just. Yeah. It's not inconsequential, you know. So you have the rhythm section saying something, and then you've got Steve Howe doing that, and then you got John Anderson kind of on top of it all, and it's somehow it all works perfectly. And not Alan White, Bill Bruford going, you know, his drumming again. I always like to say he's so understated and yet so powerful, and just incredibly powerful. Now, what is that? Oh, this. Take note of that, because you're going to hear that again at the very end of the song. Dizzying how fantastic this song is. I never tire of it listening to it. Now that's really cool. So where did that come from? It's a E minor and a D minor. It just kind of sort of came out of nowhere. Now that is interesting. This is like a sort of a little bit of an odd harmony. It's definitely not what you call like a pop kind of melody. It has a kind of mechanicalness to it, or a robot kind of feel to it. To me, anyways. So it's sort of like, you know, when you've been to a rock concert and you come home and your ears are ringing, and so if you hear some music on the radio, you hear these strange overtones. That's what it reminds me of. So intelligent. So intelligent. Just listening to that little phrase. Da-da-da-dum.
Shouldn't take away the start through memory. Journey takes you all the way. As a part.
And there is it's so playful. I just feel like and then Rick's going what's he hitting here? Is he hitting it? You know, just between all of them, it's like they're in a sandbox just having fun. Isn't that cool? Rick Evans doing it doesn't need much. That's all it needs. It just as we climb our way into the void, as we cross the
total mass retain.
There you go, total mass retain. Who knows what that means? It just sounds so cool. And thank the good Lord he wrote that and put it in the song, because that's just perfect. It's exactly what the song needs. Total mass retain. What is that? Who knows? It sounds great.
Down at the edge, round by the corner.
Now listen to the snare there. They really boosted up, or it had something to do with the fact that they probably did 2 gigs back before this song was started recording it, and they're continuing to record it in the studio, and they had to reset up the microphones and everything. Who knows? Maybe his snare was not exactly the same tuning or something, but they just played up his snare there. Hear it again. See, they boosted it for sure, just for that one hit. I wonder why that happened, but for whatever reason, it serves the song. For the exciting conclusion to this video, click the link at the top left of the screen for part 2 of the For the exciting conclusion to this video, click the link at the top left of the screen for part 2 of the